Hello and welcome back to the Leaders in Conversation with your host, Nomazibulo Tshanga. As usual, I am not alone. I am with Buhle Hanise. She is currently the Chief Operations Officer at BDO South Africa. So we'd like to welcome her. We are going to have a leadership conversation.
Leaders in Conversation with Nomazibulo Tshanga.
Welcome, welcome.
Darling.
You look beautiful, darling.
Thank you so
look
much. You too,
beautiful.
Ntombazana, all snatched up.
Lovely, lovely, love that. Yeah, so we are going to have an intentional conversation with Buhle Hanise, who's a Chief Operations Officer at BDO South Africa. But before we get into that, I'd like to get to understand Buhle. Who is Buhle and where is Buhle coming from? I mean, you are currently sitting as a top leadership team of BDO South Africa. You're making strides in the accounting profession, which we'll delve into shortly. But I'd like to understand who is Buhle and where is she coming from?
Ooh, yeah, that's a long story of 41 years.
We love long stories.
So yes, I am Buhle Nomabunga, who was born in Umtata in 1982, long time ago. I grew up there. All my life I studied in Umtata until I finished my degree at the University of Transkei.
How was it growing up in Umtata, guys?
Kwakumnandi. It was so wonderful. I think being in a small town, we were shackled from a lot of things.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't understand that there was this black and white. So you know,
Yes.
we were all black people. We would see one white person, a few colored people around us. But it was such an amazing community. You could walk from your home to school. It was a safe environment. That thing yokuthi umntana ukhuliswa
Gabantu, a village.
A village. That's how we felt, because if a neighbor sees me doing something wrong outside, they will
call you into order immediately.
Into order. So that was an amazing a childhood, a family of 5, where we were middle class. We were not poor. My parents did study. My dad was the first one in his family to get his diploma. My mom was coming from a family of teachers. So okay, you can imagine, Noma, how strict they were.
I can imagine.
Because ufuna umntu that's going to also follow
in
him,
his footsteps.
In his footsteps. Make sure you study education. Umama, my grandfather is a principal. My grandmother is a teacher. Education.
So there was no way that you could not have completed your studies.
There
was no room for that.
There was no room for anything else.
How important is education, though?
I think it is. I think it's what's gotten me to where I am today. And funny enough, my story is so weird, because whenever I tell people that I became a CA, how did I do that? I actually decided at about standard 6, standard 5. Because when we went to standard 7, it is the military junior secondary school, you had to decide whether you're doing commercial subjects, history, or the science route. And I was fortunate enough that a lady, Cindy Zilwa, who was a second CA, black female CA in South Africa at the time, came to our school to tell us about the profession. So
at standard
education
6. So you were already quite interested in knowing what you wanted to do, because I think I was dabbing from, I want to be a psychologist, I want to do law, I was not sure what I wanted to do.
I knew I loved accounting, but I knew of accounting. I didn't know of the chartered accountancy side. So that was such an amazing an opportunity for somebody to come to our school and tell us about this profession. Hence, I'm sitting now as the president of the African Women Chartered Accountants, because it was her mandate when they founded the organization to go back to their schools. I only found out about that this last year. Can you imagine?
Wow, what a coincidence. Full circle.
But their first mandate as the founders of the organization were to go back to their schools. So JE education.
And you were the picked one from the school?
Actually, no. Funny enough, we were not picked. We just were given an opportunity to know about different careers. And then I just followed through with my journey, and education was always primary to my life. I wanted to get this chartered accountancy, and when I even went through some difficulties trying to pass board exams, I never lost that thing.
Did you pass the first time?
No, passed the 4th time, girl.
Oh, wow. But this is a beautiful story to tell to aspiring CAs, that if you don't get it the first time, there's an opportunity for you to go and get it again.
Every failure that you go through, you must wake up, stand up tall again, and go and try one more time. So education care was really, 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 instilled in us as
It's an
kids.
instrumental part of you growing up.
And I think they wanted more out of us, to be outside of Umtata, even if it meant you're going to just East London, PE, at least get an opportunity to go and see the world outside of what we grew up. And so that was it.
So in varsity, how was your life in varsity? And what type of a teenager or of a young adult were you?
I was very responsible. I'm a firstborn of 3, and I was always the matured one. We did grow up with a relative of ours, my cousin sister, Unonqedo. She was also very, followed the rules. So I did have a little bit of somebody that I also looked up to, because that's important. He was shouting and saying, Unonqedo doesn't do this. But, Buhle, you must toe the line. But there were obviously times where, you would be a teenager, you're allowed to.
It's normal.
It's normal.
Yeah.
But adversity was nice. I think I was given an opportunity to be independent, because I was too much of a daddy's girl. I needed to find who I am and find myself, and I definitely did.
Who are you?
I am Buhle. I am an authentic person in all areas of my life.
Yeah.
You take me as I am. And I do things that I'm very, very passionate about. I love my family. I think in everything that I do, I always want to go back home and just see my daughter, see my husband, and even if that day was
sleep
horrible.
At night. Yes. As soon as you walk home,
as I'm getting into
heart.
the car and I'm going home, there's a smile on my face. There's a song on my head, because I know I'm going to a place where I'm loved.
You are loved.
Yeah.
And you love.
And I love, exactly.
I love that.
Norma. Yeah.
So looking back at your journey from studying accounting to becoming the Chief Operations Officer at BDO South Africa, what were the pivotal moments or decisions that helped shape your career?
Yeah, so actually at BDO and on my division, it's called Business Restructuring Services. Yes. And that's where we restructure distressed businesses, and we also turn around businesses. And I've got a small portion of my team that does liquidations. As you know, you can only save what you can save. Some of the businesses actually have to be closed, unfortunately. So there was a lot of things.
Is that not a tedious job? I'm trying to think. I mean, with the way I know you and understand you to be a person of impact, development, etc. And then you come across these distressed businesses all the time. It's your daily life.
I'm looking at financials that are loss-making, negative equity, employees are about to be retrenched. That's it's the most difficult job, where you have to tell people that, guys, we have to retrench you. Or we actually have to close the business. It is a very tedious job, but I'm very passionate about it. And I think working at the IDC for 10 years, a developmental financier that, was very passionate about growing our economy, making sure people are employed, it made me who I am. It made me enjoy the job that I'm doing.
And to understand it better on the other side. Because after articles, I did my journey through normal financial institutions. I was at you were at KPMG
I did my
at some
articles
point?
at KPMG,
Yes.
and then I went to Nedbank and Standard Bank. And you must remember, commercial banks are wired differently to the developmental financier. So that's why I think for me, as tedious as the job is of restructuring or turning around businesses, I've got that ability to say, why am I doing it? And that actually makes the job easier. Because I've got that, I want to make that impact of making sure that people don't lose their jobs. We make sure we grow our own economy. Guys, if we don't take care of our South Africa, who else will?
No one.
Because I'm not, guys, I don't have anywhere else to go. I can't go to, oh no, I'm relocating to London.
You don't have a privilege. Yes. So you need to make use of what you have and the resources you have.
Exactly. So that's why then I think it's important. But coming back to your question, you know, there were a few pivotal moments in my life that have made me or sustained me to stay in the course. Which course it is, I'm not sure, because I do so many things. But I think what we spoke about earlier, Noma, about failing my board exams, it was so difficult, girl. All of a sudden, you know, you try this thing, it doesn't work first time, second time, third time. And I remember having a conversation with my dad and my mom, and my dad was like, oh, Buhle, Kanene, when did you decide to become a CA? And he was just asking me questions. He's not giving me a solution. Hey, Bulo, why is he
helping you think?
You know, why is he asking me all these questions? An aha moment happened after I dropped the phone call. I'm crying. I'm like, oh, mama, this thing is difficult. Only after I dropped the phone, I realized actually my dad was giving me a message, but this career was never something we told you to do. We never forced you into this. This was what you wanted. And then I think my mindset changed for the better. But you know, with all that said, there were so many supportive people around us. I mean, even at KPMG, we were supported. Then SAICA, our professional organization, started a project called Tutuka program, supporting people like me who are coming from previously disadvantaged universities. Third year university, we didn't have lectures.
Wow.
We were teaching ourselves. Professionals who were CAs in Umtata felt bad for us. After doing their job as auditors, they would come to our school and teach us,
you.
You know? And then all those things started coming back to my mind. But there's just, I can't fail these people. These people have actually implanted seeds onto my own life, supporting me, making sure that I become this. I can't give up now. And that was a very, very, aha moment for me to say, guys, this was never Buhle, sitting in front of my study desk. This was never somebody else's dream. It was yours,
and it is still yours.
It is still mine. You know, so that's what happened to me when I was really struggling. And then all throughout my journey, I've actually gone through serious ups and downs. And I think one of the biggest pivotal moments as well was when the financial services industry bug hit me. I was like, oh, okay. I did audit in manufacturing entities. What is this financial services that people are talking about? And you think about it and you think nothing happens without being funded, without getting a bank loan, without your own savings. It's such an impactful industry. How do I navigate it? Where do I even start? And I actually started from scratch. Yeah, so Noma, I started my journey through credit, just basic instrument of financial services industry. And I enjoyed it, and I built up my experience from there. And after doing credit, I decided, look, I'll do post-credit, which is what I'm doing, restructurings, post-investments, and I enjoyed it.
But what made you move from strictly financial accounting to practice law and restructuring, etc.? Was it a deliberate and intentional career move, or you found yourself in it?
Yeah, very intentional, because it was a build-up of what I had done as a credit manager of a bank. So it was important for me to do it in an environment that will allow me to actually turn around the businesses, that will give me the space to restructure the businesses, and IDC was that place for me. So it was not the intentionality, Noma, to be honest, only came because I knew where I wanted to do. Where I wanted to be, building up on credit and doing post-investments and / restructuring.
Was part of career planning.
But first I wanted to do it at Standard Bank, where I was before. But when IDC gave me that call, I said, no, it should be God's intervention. I knew about IDC. I knew what the mandate was. As a result, shifting from being a commercial banker into a developmental finance did take time. But when also that bug hit, I ran with it.
You ran with it.
I ran with it, yeah.
You seem like someone who likes to run with it. Has this always been planned? I mean, when I look at your career trajectory, you know, moving into accounting, into law, you know, not going through the typical accounting route and going into a bit of restructuring, etc. Did you have a crafted or a strategy for your career growing up?
It was probably not strategically done. There was an element of God's intervention or luck, and the build-up of going also into insolvency law was because I was looking at around me, what exactly will set me apart from any normal restructuring specialist, and I added that insolvency law part of it because and business rescue, so that I can be a specialist in my field and I can distinguish myself. At some point I felt like just being a chartered accountant was not enough.
Yeah.
I needed to do something more.
And I love that.
Yeah. So there was a little bit of planning, sitting somewhere in my diary or in my journal, but other things I can tell you now, God had his own plan, you know, and also a bit of luck. Yeah.
Love that. So as a leader in the finance, restructuring and business rescue industry, what are some of the essential leadership qualities that you believe have been instrumental in your success in managing teams effectively?
Sure. I would say capacitating myself with skills that I don't have. The lady that hired me, her name is Pel Zambani at IDC, was a lawyer. Lawyer, ifuna ntoni kwi-turnarounds, post investments. This is our field, accountants, finance, tax, and all of that. I just didn't understand why she was this head of this department. But later on, I realized she was actually very strategic. And she capacitated herself with all the skills and expertise she didn't have. So I find that helps. Your team must be...
So leading yourself first.
Leading yourself first, and also your team must complement you. If something doesn't sit well with you, somebody else can actually put it into perspective for you because they come from a totally different background. So that has helped me to navigate my leadership journey and also just finding ways of work. How do I make sure that at the end of the day, whatever goals we've set, they delivered? And I don't know everything. You know, you can't come to me and ask me about tax for one. I won't know. You can't ask me about my team now currently that's doing liquidations. They also do divorces. They also do deceased estates. I don't know none of that, but I've got that team. So I always surround myself with the right people and make sure that the goals that we have in place as a department or even as BDO in totality
are met.
Yeah,
so could you share a significant challenge or setback you have encountered in your career and how did you navigate through it and how did that make you stronger as a leader?
Sure. There were so many incidences, but I think one that comes to mind right now is when I was in one of the financial institutions and what we call woman-on-woman hate. I don't even want to take it further and say it was because she was a white lady. I think for me, what came out of it is I expected more from another woman. So, you know, when you're a recently qualified person in any field, because you've got this knowledge, you know, you're excited, enthusiasm, you come into a different space and you know that I've studied this thing, so I should be able to share with Unoma Oba, if you have this specific transaction, this is how you do your debit and credit. So I came in with that with that thing in my mind, in an environment where that it didn't allow a person like me that wanted to stay as is. And I couldn't last. I literally stayed there for 12 months on the dot because I could see I will never grow in this environment. But what hit me the most was the fact that another woman was willing to push me down instead of saying, oh, shame, this girl, you know, she just wants us to do things differently, wants to put her own imprint into whatever processes we have in place, but that was not embraced. But that has taught me a few things, though, Norma, that maybe it's not the best solution to just leave. Maybe try and navigate through those difficulties, but to a certain point. But at the same time, where you can feel the heat, maybe that's not where you're supposed to be.
I love that alignment.
Yes, maybe that's not where you're supposed to be. See if there aren't any other opportunities, because when they say that you keep on knocking on one door, if that door is not open, go open your own. If you want to sit at a table and
there's no seats for you, create your own table.
Create your own table. You know, I've always believed in that, and I think that confidence came from my upbringing. My dad, as little as 2 years old, would come everybody, let's have a meeting. Your mom has an opportunity to go work in East London. What do you feel? How do you think? What do you, you know? How do you feel? What do you think? What is your opinion? So I've always been given that platform of speaking out. So now, if I'm in an environment where you
feel stifled,
yeah, it didn't work for me. But I've learned a lot.
So, given the challenges that you have encountered, especially of Buhle Down syndrome, and with your experience that you've just illustrated of a woman pulling you down, and currently you are serving as a president of the African Women Chartered Accountants Forum, you know, AWCA. So what initiatives and what programs and championing and support that you are giving to women empowerment?
Yeah, sure. We do quite a lot at the AWCA. And I think at the core of our mandate is ensuring that we bring in more chartered accountants who look like me, who are black, who are female, who are African.
Yeah.
And that's a very, I've got a very soft spot for this organization. I've been with them since Article days, and I am serving my last term this year as the presidency. And we continue with that mandate as at the core to ensure that we bring in those aspiring CAs. Now there's something called Genoma CA of the Future. We're trying to make sure that we capacitate them not to look like me or do what I did, because they are technology,
the landscape is different.
The landscape is different. Technology is taking over. So we're trying to capacitate them. Even if you are already qualified, we make sure that you feel that there is a level of sisterhood. And that sisterhood is not just about us sitting and gossiping about, you know, my boss did this. It's all about making sure that you become a good leader at the end of the day. But we worry a lot about, you know, CAs who are leaders. They always feel lonely. They are either the first one in that company to be a CFO, or CEO, or CEO, and we always run programs to support them. But my most passionate part of what we do is the entrepreneurship forum, because I guess it comes naturally as a restructuring specialist, because I know very well that for us to grow our economy, we need to make sure that we support
grow
our
more
entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Yeah. Not everybody wants to stay and be a partner in an audit firm. Not everybody, even though I never thought I'd be a partner. I've done full circle. I am actually now a director in an audit firm, because BDO is overall an audit firm. But we just obviously run the advisory side of the business. So we do quite a lot at the AWS, and that, I think, will be my legacy as well, to ensure that entrepreneurs feel that they also are supported by the organization. But I think more than anything, making sure that the students are aware of the profession, even those that are aspiring and have started the journey, they've got the support. So we raise funds every single year to make sure that we take about 10 students to do their CTA. We don't necessarily help them with their undergrad, because we feel like there's more opportunities for them to get funding as undergrad, and as far as audit firms do support them. But we found that there's a gap. The minute you pass your degree, especially for somebody who comes from a university like my one, which was previously disadvantaged, not accredited by SAICA, and now fortunately it has been accredited again. So we're very, very much passionate about ensuring that, you know, we groom a CA from bottom to top, and we are there. We are that sounding board for them. So there's quite a lot of programs that we run.
Do you have any success stories to share with us?
Sure, I think there's quite a lot. I was quite surprised at the end of the year last year. We always send out a feeler or an advert that we do provide bursaries for CTA students, and we'd usually get about 5-6 applications. And I think with my tenure, we managed to make the AWCA awareness much better, or the marketing part of it. and we got about 1,000 applications.
Wow.
Can you imagine
Wow.
the stress on me as well? I'm happy at the same time, but I'm very much stressed about the fact that I want
because you feel like you want to fund everybody.
Yes. So what we have done as well is we've taken it further to say, if we can't fund you from our bursary fund, let's see how we locate you into some of the audit firms to make sure that those 1,000 kids get opportunities. I can name a lot of opportunities that we've provided for our membership, but I think more than anything, the Entrepreneurship Forum one was also a highlight for me. We've run programs with Tebe Investment Group. We've got a few supporters of our Entrepreneurship Forum. Alan Gray is one of them. So we've seen a lot of successes within some of the programs that we do. But I think more than anything, when the students, when they're placed, when they get those bursaries, when they actually continue with their journey.
That's where you feel like you've impacted.
I feel like I've done it. Because now, to be where I am, I got so many supporters. A lecturer at Unitra called Dr. Zakuza. Now he's Dr. Zakuza. He was very instrumental in ensuring that I bona Tina Sele unit a singer Pelilipa. He made sure that Auditor General knows about University of Transkei, provided bursaries for us. One of my mentors, Ulando Bantom, was at Saika in PE, was one of those people who opened doors for us to even get onto those tutuka programs that Saika provides. So when I see the impact that AWCA does in ensuring that a child who has a dream to become a CA doesn't get cut in the middle of their journey, and we run through and support them through their journey.
So it's actually very important that when you are having a seat at the table and you are up there in the corporate ladder, you actually leave the ladder so that others can climb up. Right?
Exactly. Don't push it down.
Don't push it down.
You can't do that. You can't.
Yeah, especially in this economy where we need to be, growing each other, impacting each other, so that we are all contributing into the economy.
I agree totally.
So Brunch with Noma 2024 is finally here, and let me tell you why this is the brunch that you have been waiting for. My name is Nomazibulo Tshanga, and I personally invite you to join me at the Brunch with Noma 2024, where we go beyond boundaries. So picture yourself in a room and in a company of the most brilliant minds in South Africa, having robust, meaningful and transformative conversations that will impact your life positively. A gathering of like-minded, prestigious individuals pushing the boundaries of wisdom and innovation. This is indeed where intellect meets inspiration. So behind the scenes, the team worked very hard curating this lineup of industry giants. So we spared no efforts to go an extra mile to bring you voices that are not just hard to get, but extraordinary in their own individual ways. It's the result of the relentless pursuit to assemble a gathering of the best and brightest in the industry. You are not just attending any event. You are stepping into an exclusive, wholesome space that will challenge you to think beyond boundaries. Seize the opportunity to be part of this extraordinary experience. Don't wait until it's too late. Book your tickets now at nomazibulo.com. Beyond Boundaries is not just a theme. It's an invitation to redefine possibilities. You better secure your spot now before tickets vanish. Beyond Boundaries, beyond expectations. Let's make history together. So how do you see the landscape of corporate leadership evolving, particularly in the finance and accounting sector? What opportunities are there, and what challenges would one, encounter?
Sure, I think challenges are always there. There's quite a lot of things that we're going through, and I don't know, Norma, if you're aware, as a profession, we struggled for a good number of years. We found some of our fellow professionals getting involved in corruption.
Yes.
I remember even when this whole thing started, your state capture, our people.
You were affected. Your profession was affected. Yes.
And it was such a shocking revelation, because we were always regarded as this, noble profession, and that hit us a lot. as an accounting profession, and I remember going for an interview, and I said, guys, in all that we do must always go back to basics. And what is the basic when it comes to a qualified chartered accountant is ethics.
What is the basics?
Ethics, being being honest.
Ethical.
Quick money, it will never take you anywhere. I always find myself talking about how critical it is to be honest, and I think ethics in general are critical, and that's one thing that was instilled in us when we were studying. So it really, really impacted our profession, whatever happened with the state capture. Fortunately for us, the positive that came out of that is that we were very intentional as the profession, and especially in our organization at AWCA, to bring back, that level of comfort and trust in our profession again. And fortunately, SAICA now is back to being number one all around the world. So I'm really, really, really grateful
Excited
for that,
and grateful,
excited for that. So it happened when it's during my tenure. So I'm like,
it makes you sleep at night. It's
sleep.
a tick for you.
I can sleep at night.
That you are contributing and you are,
Yeah, I can sleep at night. So there were just a lot of challenges I think we faced as a profession, but there's a lot that we can also embrace going forward. And I think more than anything, technology. Jonga, you are going to be left behind if you don't get onto this boat or this train or this bus.
But what does that look like for the financial and the accounting sector?
It's so important, and you can't do without it, in my mind. I remember days when we were doing articles, we carried big blue files. Now these days, auditors, they audit things online. Apparently, there's even technology where we used to go up on top of ladders to do stock counts as article clerks. Now, you put goggles and you just do this all up and down. Somebody in the office at BDO is busy doing the count for you, capturing the information. I'm like, wow, I am shocked. AI, we need to embrace AI, we need to embrace technology, IT, etc. I think that's the way to go if we want to play in the same field as the rest of the world. We're fortunate that we have a partnership with Dimension Data. Unampumelelo there, the MD, has been very supportive. We had a session with her around, I think, just embracing AI and cybersecurity. All these fancy words, we didn't know what they were. We've actually had to go and learn new concepts and see how do we use these new concepts to actually make sure even our ways of work are improved.
Different.
Exactly. Exactly. So there's a lot to embrace, I think, in my mind. Yeah.
So how important is, making sure that you, whatever it is that you were taught, you take it down to your peers. How important is mentorship and sponsorship and etc.
Yeah. Sure, that's very critical. I actually had my first session with my coach yesterday, and just taking me through my leadership journey. There's a lot of that's in the.
For more from Leaders in Conversation with Nomazibulo Tshanga, you can continue listening to the rest of this episode on your audio streaming service app. Our podcast is available on various audio streaming platforms. Details in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching.